It's 9:38 hours. "6,000 meters above Normandy, the bomb bay doors of 1,500 American B-17s and B-24s open simultaneously. The bombardier in the glazed nose looks through his crosshair at a corridor 6 kilometers long and 3 kilometers deep, the positions of the German 7th Army south of the Saint-Lô-Périers road. His finger rests on the electric release. The drop takes seconds. Then the ground below begins to boil. It is July 25th, 1944. What follows is no longer a tactical attack. It is the dismantling of an army. But we need to step back. This day did not emerge from nothing. 7 weeks after D-Day, the Allied front is stalled. In the east, the British and Canadians are holding the German elite panzer divisions near Caen in a bloody contest of attrition. Goodwood on Atlantic, spring. 6 weeks have shown what history will call the bocage paralysis. Every field a battle. Every hedgerow an ambush. The 29th Infantry Division needs 3 weeks to reach Saint-Lô, a town that looks like a day's march on the map. While SS tanks defend every meter at Périers Ridge, Lieutenant General Omar Bradley is preparing something in the west that will break the entire German front. He calls it Operation Cobra. The idea is of murderous simplicity. A narrow corridor, maximum air power in the tightest space, then armor into the depth. Not a broad frontal assault, a scalpel. For the lead role, Bradley selects his best corps commander, Major General J. Lawton Collins, 7th Corps. The men call him Lightning Joe. The problem is the terrain. A Sherman climbing a Norman hedgerow exposes its unarmored belly to the enemy. A single man with a Panzerfaust can stop an entire company. The solution does not come from headquarters. It comes from a 29-year-old sergeant of the 102nd Cavalry Reconnaissance Squadron, Curtis Cullen. He welds steel teeth onto the front of his Sherman. Metal struts from German beach obstacles, picked up on the shore. The tank runs at the hedgerow. The teeth bite into the earthen wall. The Sherman plows through. No climbing, no exposed belly. By July 25th, 60% of all 1st Army tanks carry this device. They call it the Rhino. Rommel built those beach obstacles to stop the Allies on the shore. Now they open the heart of France. Then, July 24th, the first attempt. Bad weather, 500 bombers turn back. The remaining 300 release before the abort order reaches them. 25 American soldiers die from their own bombs. 131 are wounded. General Fritz Bayerlein, commanding the Panzer Lehr Division, uses the pause. He orders his men to occupy the vacated American positions. He believes he has repelled an attack. He has placed his men directly into the next day's bomb carpet. Bradley receives the July 24th casualty figures. 156 friendly casualties before Cobra has even started. He knows another friendly fire incident of this scale will destroy Cobra politically and morally. He also knows that every day's delay gives the Germans time to close the gap in their defense. He authorizes the attack for the next morning. It is not a brave decision. It is a cold one. While Bradley finalizes his plan, it is the Canadians who hold the German gaze in the east. General Guy Simons drives his men at Périers Ridge into an offensive he himself regards as nearly impossible. Operation Spring, the same night Cobra begins. 325 men of the Black Watch Regiment go into the attack. "15 survive the morning unwounded. The ridge remains in German hands. But the Waffen-SS Panzer divisions remain where they are, pinned, worn down, without reserve. That is the calculation that makes Cobra possible. 9:38 hours, July 25th. The machines come back. This time, 1,500 bombers, plus 550 fighter bombers. Over 4,000 tons of bombs and napalm on a corridor barely larger than a medium-sized city district. The bombing lasts nearly 3 hours. The ground in Panzer Lehr's sector stops being solid ground. The morning of July 25th begins for Bayerlein with a false certainty. Less than it, his men are lying in the vacated American foxholes behind foreign sandbags. He believes he has set a trap. At 9:30, he hears the hum. Not from one direction, from all directions simultaneously. He steps out of his command post, raises his head, and watches the sky disappear. Not behind clouds, behind steel. He describes it later. The planes came like a conveyor belt. Bomb carpets were laid, artillery positions wiped out, tanks overturned and buried, all roads destroyed. By midday, the entire area resembled a moonscape. All communications cut. No command possible. Several of his men went mad and ran in the open until shell fragments cut them down. Over 70% of his soldiers, dead, wounded, driven insane or numb. But the bombing does not only hit the Germans. Bombs fall short again, on American positions again. 111 Americans die from their own bombs. 490 are wounded. Among the dead, Lieutenant General Leslie McNair, Commanding General of Army Ground Forces, the highest-ranking American officer to fall in Europe. The bomb hits directly in his foxhole. His body is thrown 18 meters, identifiable only by the 3 stars on his collar. McNair's death is kept secret. He still plays a role as part of Operation Fortitude, feeding the Germans the fiction of a second, larger invasion near Pas-de-Calais. A dead general as an active deception instrument. That is operational calculus in its coldest form. The 30th U.S. Infantry Division has received bombs twice today. Their own bombs. July 24th, July 25th, the men lie in their foxholes and hear the hum of the bombers, and do not know whether the next explosion hits the enemy in front of them or themselves. 164 men collapse from psychological stress alone. Eisenhower, who has come to Normandy specifically for this day, returns to England that evening disheartened. On the map, Klug reports to Berlin. The line holds. The line does not hold. It is breached in 7 places, but the system that should aggregate those reports is dead. Radio silent. Messengers not getting through. This is no longer defeat in the classical sense. This is the end of an operational nervous system. On the evening of July 25th, the map shows 2.5 kilometers of gain. Bradley hesitates. Collins sends the tanks forward. Not tomorrow. Now. He reads the situation differently than the plan intended. What looks like resistance is isolated fighters without connection, without orders, without coordination. On Guadalcanal, Collins learned what a breaking army looks like before the map shows it. He took Cherbourg in 18 days because he knew the moment when hesitation costs more than action. He orders the 2nd Armored and the 1st Infantry Division into the breach. Plan says, wait. Collins says, now. The next morning, the German 7th Army reports 7 breaches in the line from east to west. Panzer Lehr, in Bayerlein's own words, is finally annihilated. The 5th Parachute Division exists on paper, not on the field. 1st Army divisions are now measuring their advance in kilometers, not in 100-meter increments. And then, on the morning of July 27th, a message from the 30th Infantry Division moves through every radio level upward. This thing has busted wide open. The same division that was shredded twice by its own bombs reports the breakthrough. That is not a hero story. That is the weight of men who keep going because there is no other way. In the night of July 28th begins what turns a breakthrough into a catastrophe for the entire German Western Front. General Paul Hauser, commanding the 7th Army, orders the retreat in the wrong direction. Not west toward the coast, where a line could be held. Southeast. Directly into the closing corridor between the advancing American armored divisions. The 2nd SS Panzer Division. Das Reich and the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division, Götz von Berlichingen, are trapped near Rancy. The 2nd and 3rd U.S. Armored Divisions close the ring. RAF Typhoons fly 99 sorties in a single afternoon. General Tixon, commanding the 2nd SS Panzer, is killed in combat. Hauser himself comes under fire from an American armored car. SS Panzer officer Ernst Barkmann of Das Reich positions his Panther across the St. Lo to Coutances Road and waits. 9 Sherman tanks of the 3rd U.S. Armored Division drive into his position. He destroys them all. The American column stands for hours. It is a tactical success that sounds like a victory. It is not. The Rancy pocket is liquidated by July 30th. Nearly 1,500 German soldiers put out of action. 4,000 taken prisoner. 500 vehicles destroyed. On the roads around Rancy stand the ruins of the 7th Army. Burned out half-tracks, toppled guns, burst ammunition crates. July 30th. Of Ranches Falls, 1 city, 1 bridge, 1 name, Pont-au-Beau. Whoever holds this bridge holds the only crossing between Normandy and Brittany. Every road in northwest France converges here like arteries in a heart. The 4th U.S. Armored Division takes the bridge intact on July 31st. What happens next, no planning staff had predicted. Through this single crossing, 7 American divisions roll south within 72 hours. Columns stretch 25 kilometers long. On the other side, open terrain. No line. No organized defense. This is no longer a breakthrough. It is a flood. August 1st, 1944. The 3rd U.S. Army is activated. Lieutenant General George Patton assumes command. Patton, who throughout the entire Cobra breakthrough was officially still a fiction, a phantom without command, whose name alone held German panzer reserves at Pas-de-Calais. Now he rides a legend into a real victory.